And welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. It's good to be back. I hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas. I know up here in the Northeast, a lot of us had some issues with the weather, which it affected all the families around the Northeast. It affects travel, it affects the heat in the house. In Sean's case, it affected some frozen pipes, and my mother-in-law, the same thing in North Carolina. Anyway, Sean, I hope you had a Merry Christmas. I know you had some issues there, but
yeah, we were talking before. It was like a crazy Christmas for sure. Crazy Christmas for sure.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's like everything. We just put it behind us, move on. It's like the game. Whatever. It's over.
It's just unfortunate the timing of it. That's all. You know, I mean,
that's and like you said, with like the families and travel, that's like the worst because it affects the entire country. Like people are trying to go places. So
yeah, and I know from listening to you talk and you and us sharing conversations together, that family is extremely important to us, like it is with most people at Christmas time. And, you know, when certain individuals can't be there for whatever reasons, it puts a little bit of a damper on it. But you know what? Like you said, you pick up the pieces, you move on. There's 364 more days to the year, and you make the best of it. So anyway, college football playoff time, buddy. You know, and no controversy here, right? I mean, I don't see. I think the four best teams are there. The four most deserving teams are there.
Yes.
And
I'm sure we'll get some Alabama comments in the chat, but
hey, you know,
listen, you're the fourth best team in the SEC. You're not you can't leapfrog everybody to get the playoffs.
Yeah. Just because you're Alabama, you got your own self to blame. I mean, you lose to Tennessee, and you lose to LSU, you know, come on, man. You know, you're a 2-loss team. Nobody's ever made the college football playoff in the short history of it. That was a 2-loss team. And, you know, you may make a case that they may have been more worthy than TCU, but I just think TCU's not been given enough credit because they haven't really overwhelmed people. Yeah. They're not the Alabamas and Georgias of past years, or even Georgia of this year, that it just crucifies teams in 11 to 12 games they play leading into the playoffs. They're not that type of team. But like you've said, on numerous occasions, they find a way to win.
Yes. You know, they win. That's a win.
Yeah.
Texas loses. Texas Christian wins. I mean, that's the difference. TCU won all those kind of games, and Texas lost all those kind of close games. That's just the way the team is. They win close ones.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, we get into this stuff with who's got the better team on paper. Texas certainly is always amongst the top 10 when it comes to recruiting on an annual basis. But you could have all the 4 and 5 stars you want. You got to perform on the field, and you got to perform as a team collectively, right, Sean? And TCU falls way short of the recruiting that Texas has done over the last decade, but here they are. And I'm not trying to pick on Texas. I'm just making a point.
Yeah, that's why I just bring up that because Texas lost like a bunch of close games. They lost to Alabama in a close game. They lost to TCU by a touchdown, close game. You lose. Yeah. That's the way,
Yeah,
you got to win some of those. They haven't.
Yeah.
TCU hit them all.
And we were anticipating some comments about people who will be supporting Alabama, saying they were deserving more than TCU. Well, they only have themselves to blame. Losing at LSU, losing at Tennessee, barely getting by early in the season against Texas in a game they probably deserved to lose. Yep. You know what I mean? So I think, again, the 4 best teams are there. The 4 most deserving teams are there. And let's play ball. That's the bottom line. And we're going to discuss those 2 games today, folks.
Yes.
Sean is going to be covering the Ohio State and Georgia game. Yeah, I'm highly anticipating what he has to say about that contest. And I'm going to take a look at the TCU and Michigan game. I got a winning total for you in that game. So before we get to those picks, just a friendly reminder, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do so. It costs you absolutely nothing. If you're watching this YouTube channel and you're watching this show, you're certainly interested in sports betting. I would assume so. We're 5 minutes in, you're still watching, right? So I'm trying to answer the question for you. So just subscribe, and while you're there, hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified immediately upon us putting any of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast up on this channel. Some of the best handicappers in the country, not only myself and Sean Higgs, also Big Al McMorty of BigAl.com, Doug Upstone of DocSports.com, and Jesse Schul of PicksandParleys.net. And again, you can find Sean at PicksandParleys.net too. Great show too. He puts on daily, folks, Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, midday money with Mr. Sean Higgs. And he's now on several networks in addition to just the Picks and Parleys YouTube channel. And you could fill him in on that.
Yeah. So it was just on the YouTube, but now we've got the Apple and Google, Amazon Music, Spotify, Stitcher. It's all over. You can find it. Just Midday Money. There you go. There's only about, I've been doing a couple weeks of 17 episodes, but whatever. You can YouTube thousands of them if you want, but you don't have to. You can just go in, listen. I timestamp it. I now put a little timestamp in the little description. Recap, picks, my little rant. Go right to it. Listen to it.
There you go.
That's fun. I like it. It's good to get some new listeners.
Yeah, and we've been doing that as well, because you get people complaining that we talk too much before the picks come out. And I remind everybody out there, you're entitled to your opinion, but it's a sports betting show. It's a sports betting podcast. There's a lot of free pick videos out there, okay, that covers just the game, in and out in 2 minutes or so.
That's it. 30 seconds.
My question to you is when you walk away from those videos, are you any smarter a sports bettor today than you were yesterday? That's what we hope to accomplish here. I have nothing against those types of videos, but basically all you're getting out of that is why a certain handicapper or prognosticator likes a certain team against a spread or a certain total. You're getting more than that when you come with us. We discuss various topics in the world of sports betting, and then we get to our free picks. So again, Sean just mentioned that if you look in our description on each one of our videos now, you'll find exactly when the free picks are covered on each video. So if there's 7 minutes and 32 seconds in, they're right there. All you have to do is look at the description. So there you go. We can't make it any easier than that. And folks, look, if you're going to comment, that's fine. I have no problem, and Sean doesn't have any problem. Neither does any handicapper on this channel have a problem with you disagreeing with our opinions. But when you are persistently nasty, and when you're not even close to being right, at some point the human element comes in, and you're gonna get it back from me. And some guy was riding me yesterday, Sean. I was talking to you off air, and then when I finally got a little bit nasty back and insinuated that he was being ignorant, he says, now I'm showing him his true colors. Wait, you've been insulting me for the last 10 minutes, right? So come on, buddy, give me a break. And by the way, for that viewer, Notre Dame, yesterday, they came out with an article, and Tyler Buckner, your favorite quarterback, this guy I'm referring to, will be starting in this game. And by the way, they signed Sam Hartman, or they're on the cusp of signing Sam Hartman out of the transfer portal, the record-setting quarterback from Wake Forest. I shouldn't say record-setting, but
pretty good.
Pretty good, right? Huge numbers. Anyway, let's get to the picks. And again, folks, don't forget, at the end of the video, we're a couple older guys. It doesn't take us much to get us happy. All you need to do is hit that like button.
That's it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And your comments, folks, are welcome, whether you disagree with us, agree with us, or have questions, okay? But as soon as you start getting insulting to any one of us, that's where I draw the line. Anyway, here we go. All right, so Mr. Higgs, you're going to take a look at the Georgia and Ohio State game, and I'm on pins and needles waiting for your explanation and your analysis on this contest. Georgia currently a consensus 6.5-point favorite with a total of 62.5. Wait, it's a high total for a Georgia game. So anyway, go ahead, Sean.
Real fast, you mentioned the free pick videos, because we do them often.
Yeah.
And they're just basically, this is we like. It's kind of short and sweet.
Yeah.
People don't want to sit and talk. That's why we have little shows like this to get a little more in depth onto our analysis. We say, well, come watch this channel so you can hear me talk, get a more sense of why I look at a game or the way you look at a game. So that's kind of like a little stepping stone to wet the beak a little bit, folks, to get you in.
Right. We give out handicapping tips and you're getting some of our thought processes behind how we look at a card, etc.
Yes.
Now, if you could pick something up from that every time you listen, just a small piece, imagine what that adds up to. We've been doing this a long time and successfully, folks. Anyway, the floor is yours, Mr. Hayes.
Yeah. So, here we go. I got to tell you, I got on this early. I got Georgia. Bet Georgia 6.5, and I got over 60 at the opener, 60.5. So it's gone up. Doesn't really shock me though. Now people can jump into Ohio State, right? It's 6.5, and the thinking is I thought it'd maybe go to 7, right? The Georgia backers thinking they win by 7, easy 6.5. Last time we saw Ohio State, they're getting run out of their own building by 20 by Michigan. Second year in a row this has happened to them. And I'll say why I kind of like the over first here, because as good as the Georgia defense is, they're going to give up some points. Some give up some points to Missouri. The 30 spot here in LSU championship game, but 20, who they give up 20-22 there to Kent State there. Ohio State offense. We could go back to our game 1 video here. We did Notre Dame, Ohio State. I said Ohio State should win this one by 20. They could sleepwalk to 44 points. Notre Dame offense, I don't think is there. It didn't get there. They look sloppy. No, game 1, I should have known better. The offense is still good. And I thought beginning of the year, these were
Notre Dame didn't move the ball with Tyler Buckner at quarterback in the opening game? Go ahead. Let's move on.
Yeah. So this is still the 2 best teams I thought coming into the season. Although looking at Ohio State, I give them a pass, like the Michigan game coming into, you're going to have a kind of a look ahead, a flat kind of spot. You got a bigger game on deck. So I kind of give leeway to a bad game here and there, right? I mean, Georgia, defending champs, they got bigger fish to fry. They're going to kind of go through the motions. You can have a bad game. I just look at the total annihilation of LSU. And again, Ohio State crumbling to Michigan twice, even against Utah in their bowl game last year. They rallied back, yes, a win. But Utah, you have an edge of NFL players over them. You don't have an edge here. You don't have the speed edge. You're on even footing or maybe a step below the way they've been recruiting out of Georgia here. Kirby Smart does his job. I think this is going to be like a high 30, like 37, 28-ish, 29. Like I'm thinking this game gets over into those 60s. I'm expecting Georgia to put up their points. I'm expecting Ohio State to come out. They want this guy's head on a platter over here. Their coach, they're ready to can him after this. Like this is what happens. It's Michigan. You better show up in this. This is they have to win this game. This guy's going to get fired after going 11-1 2 years in a row, or whatever he went. Right? I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
But again, Georgia for me, again, 37-30, 41-34. I just think they get it done. I know that half point here is a kind of biggie for me because I usually don't like laying that 6.5. But I just think Georgia's the better team. And Georgia by 7 to 10 points, I won't be shocked. And definitely the over. Because if you're not an Ohio State fan, you better be betting you over here. You're not slowing down Georgia. They're going to bully you. And then next thing you know, after they're bullying you at the line, they're going to throw it on the outside. They got these tight ends that are giants that are they're phenomenal. I mean, just one after another. I'm a tight end kind of guy. I like the big kind of guy over the middle.
Imagine that.
So I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair here. I think they're going to get their points.
Yeah, I mean, this is hard to say. I've said it early in the year after watching Georgia a few times. They're very good defensively. They still are. But they are not the dominant defense they were a season ago.
That's what happens when you lose like 13 guys in the draft. Right? How many guys went to the draft from their defense?
Right. They're still dominant. Don't get me wrong. How could I put this? How could I word this? Not as dominant as they were a season ago. Last year,
they record-breaking defense.
Yeah, exactly. And then they lose their Dave Lanning takes a job at Oregon, who's the defensive coordinator there last year, and they're still really good. Don't get me wrong, but it'd be very tough to keep Ohio State under wraps in that quarterback, C.J. Stroud. They're going to get their share. The point with Ohio State will be is are they going to be able to get enough stops?
Yes.
And I just don't, I agree with Sean. I just don't think they will be able to. Now, having said that, going back to your Ohio State and Michigan and Ryan Day's job being in jeopardy after all these. Yeah. Could you imagine, Sean, you lose to Michigan the last 2 years? Could you imagine if Ohio State wins this game and Michigan wins this game and then they lose the national championship game to Michigan? Oh my word.
He's out. That's all you'll hear for the next month, how he's going to get fired.
You get to the national championship game and you lose and you could end up getting fired just because
Harbaugh, they were ready to can him because he couldn't beat Ohio State, right? Well, I mean, he was bad against, like he was not winning the game and all of a sudden he's got 2 and now he's in a game away. I mean, you're up next with this game. They should really take care of business being this championship game. There's no excuse.
It's amazing how much rivalry games mean to some athletic directors and the alumni and the fan base. All you have to do is look at Navy and Army.
Yeah.
Coach Ken there that used to be with Navy, he loses the Army this year. He gets stopped at the half-yard line in overtime. They lose the game by a field goal. The winningest coach in Navy history. And they fire him. So, it's the world of college football that we live in. So, all right, let me take a look at Michigan and TCU, and then I'm going to go back to Sean, and he'll give his voice on what he thinks of this game as well. Right now, we're looking at Michigan as a 7.5-point favorite. The total went from 60 to 58.5. By the way, Michigan opened 9.5 in this game, down to 7.5. Both of these teams average exactly 40 points per game. So they have no trouble moving the ball. Michigan, after holding 10 of their first 11 opponents to 326 yards or fewer, their last 2 games hasn't been very good defensively. In the Big Ten championship game against Purdue, they allowed the Boilermakers to ring up 456 yards, and despite winning big against Ohio State, in Columbus, they allowed the Buckeyes to total 494 yards of offense in that contest. So a little bit of a concern there defensively. If you're Michigan, you face 2 quality opponents, and I'm not so sure that Purdue even falls in that category because Purdue basically won that. They're part of the Big Ten division, their division, I should say, by default, because nobody else stepped up to the plate. And they still move the ball. Now, Aiden O'Connell's a pretty good quarterback, but come on. TCU, they've allowed 31 points or more on 5 separate occasions this year. They've also allowed 396 yards or more in 7 of 12 games. Yet they're 12-1. Why? Because their offense scores a lot of points. And here's also some noteworthy items here. You have a TCU team that allowed 476 yards to SMU, 501 yards to Baylor, 540 yards to Kansas. And now you're playing an explosive offense, a very talented one in Michigan. They're going to be up against it. And I think TCU is totally capable of putting up some numbers on Michigan, despite the fact that early on they were very dominant, but they did show some vulnerability again, like I mentioned, in their last 2 games. This is a Michigan offense that also scores 1 point per 11.3 yards gained. That's absolutely phenomenal. TCU is not any worse, maybe a little bit, but I mean, they score 1 point per 11.8 yards per game. Those type of numbers, anytime you can score 1 point per 11 yards gained, you're living right, is all I can tell you. A lot of short fields that come along with that, good special teams play, a lot is factored into that. But that shows you these teams don't necessarily have to rack up 600 yards of total offense to score a lot of points. And for that reason, even though this line has come down from 60 to 58.5, which usually the public isn't betting unders early on, right? But, the wise guys don't always win, and we're wise guys, and I like to think so. And we're proven to be. We're going to take TCU here and Michigan over the total of 58.5. Back to you, my man.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm agree with you. I look at that total, and at 60, I was kind of like, am I going to bet it? I was all in on that Georgia total right out of the gate. I figured that's going to be, but TCU, a lot of crooked numbers on that defense.
Yeah.
And okay, you win those games, but you know what? If you're going to give up 30 here, And even look at this total. How is it this not in the 60s? You're telling me that somebody wins this game 30-20? I don't see it. I think both teams are going to score in the 30s here. Right?
Well, I
Michigan. I think Michigan's going to win this by double digits, right? So, but TCU just finds a way to put points up. And as you mentioned the Purdue game. I kind of, they gave up some points there late. They get a little cover there. Let's be honest. They win by their championship game was the week before against Ohio State. They rolled them out of the building. They went through the motions and dropped a 40 spot there. And it wasn't even, they were half-hearted playing. Let's be honest. That wasn't a full, totally focused kind of game there.
No, I agree.
Again, I'm with you on this over here. And I'd probably think Michigan gets it done too. Let's see, Harbaugh. Here's your chance. You want to get in the national championship game? Beat a team that's I hate to call a team lucky, right? I mean, it's sometimes better to be lucky. Good. You've got a lot of breaks this year. You missed it. You missed it in overtime. Your guy couldn't go 1 yard to get the touchdown here.
Yeah.
A little tougher competition. An offense that scores a bunch. I don't know. I'm gonna go Michigan in the over here. Definitely on the over.
Yeah,
58 looks a little low. I think this is
and I think the 58, the number, and again, I go back to what I said about their last two games. I think that 58 is more indicative of Michigan's ability to stifle people like they did early on. But the quality of competition goes up in the last two games, and I mean, their offense could score at will, but they did show a little bit of vulnerability there. And TCU, I just ran off the numbers at you. They're not dominant defensively. They're very opportunistic, right? And their offense is explosive. But I think we're going to see a high-scoring, entertaining affair in both of these games, and I'm looking forward to both contests, Sean.
You need 20. You tell me TCU doesn't score 20-something points here at the least 24 points?
Yeah, you would think so.
Right.
And I think the only way that doesn't occur is if they shoot themselves in the foot continually throughout the game.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Shoot themselves in the foot in their own territory where they're not getting it. But like if it's or deep or going in where it doesn't get over. Like
exactly.
They're on the 22 and they fumble it going in, and then it's milking the clock. That's that's a bad. They're traveling deep into enemy territory and start turning the ball over. Then other side of the field though, Michigan will run it down their throats. It'll be over by halftime,
Yeah, I mean, I lost my first bowl game today. I had Georgia Southern and Buffalo over the total.
Georgia Southern.
Yeah, and there was 5 drives in that game, 1st and goal, that all ended up in field goals. Brutal. So that type of thing could happen. You know what I mean? You look at
it's a bowl, guys. Go for it. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
what do you got to go for it?
I mean, Buffalo kicks a field goal on 4th and goal from the 1.5 line with. And I get it. They wanted to make it more than a 1-score game, but come on, you're up 6. There's 3 minutes?
Punch it in. They got to go 99 yards. It's like the Cowboys Eagles the other day. Punch it in at the 2. If you don't punch it in, they got to go 97 yards.
It's not like they've been finishing drives on you all day. So, in any event. All right, Sean.
That's another show. We'll criticize coaches for not going on 4th and 1, 4th and 2 from the 3.
All you got to do is look at the LA Chargers coach. He goes for it no matter where he is on the field. It cost him a playoff spot last year, but last night or Monday night, he looked brilliant by doing so. So anyway,
gets who they're playing too.
Yeah, exactly. So Sean, always a pleasure, my man. And usually we will be back on Friday together.
Yeah, we got another bowl. I forgot what bowl game we got. We got another bowl game. We're talking about the January 2nd. What is it?
Yeah.
Tulane,
Tulane and USC. That's a good matchup. I mean, that's a really, really strange line with USC just laying less than a field goal on that game against a team from the American Athletic.
Opened at a pick 'em.
Yeah. So right there speaks volumes to me. Anyway, we'll see what you have to say at that particular moment in time. But Sean will be back with us on Friday, and we'll be discussing a couple more bowl games that will take place on January the 2nd. By then, we'll know who we won't know by then who the participants are in the college football championship game. Those 2 playoff games we just discussed will be played on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll miss it.
TCU game goes at 4:00, and Georgia and Ohio State go at 8:00. Don't forget to visit picksandparleys.net. That's where you'll find Mr. Higgs Selections, Premium Selections, that is. Also, that's where you'll also find his great podcast he puts out every day called Midday Money. You'll be able to participate in that with Sean. So look forward to seeing you folks go over on that side and supporting that podcast as well. Until the next time, for Sean Higgs and Ross Benjamin, we like to wish each and every one of you a very happy holiday season. Stay safe, folks. Have fun and good luck and God bless.